I really need an editor. And I need some, I need a splash screen. I need some music. We need like an introduction. In lieu of that, let's talk about this neural development. You know how like people will say that you can learn a second language when you're a child, but that process is significantly difficult as you get older. Well, that all comes down to how your nerve cells develop in this process that we call neural development. And so that's what we're going to focus on today. How do your nerves come to be, and how do they organize into a effective machine that we call your brain and your spinal cord and your entire nervous system? So last time we talked about how nerve cells work and their structure and the action potential. And we wrap the whole lesson right here with this idea of the synapse, where nerve cells connect. And so today we're going to talk about two things: how these synapses can be modified, and then how your nerve cells get there in the first place. Okay, off we go, off we go. So we're going to go all the way back to the beginning of life. Remember, during fertilization, just one sperm cell will undergo the acrosome reaction, and the cortical reaction happens to the egg, locks it down. So one sperm gets to the egg, right? Here we go. So that sperm nucleus and that egg nucleus unite, making a zygote. The ovum then finishes up meiosis and becomes a diploid nucleus. They come together. Boom, we got ourselves a zygote. Cool. And then, remember, we had this process called cleavage, and we talked about cleavage in class. We all said, ha, 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 cleavage. And it even, anyway. So as a reminder, cleavage is a rapid cell division. You already know this. You get more cells, but the embryo doesn't grow. So you already talked about that. We're good. Now we're going to pick up with what happens to your nerve cells, to your nervous system, right after this happens, right? So here's cleavage again. One cell becomes two, etc. And then eventually all those cells divide and they make this hollow ball. It looks kind of like this. I'm going to go away now. You get this hollow ball. It looks something like this. And then you move from what's called a blastula, and then the embryo starts to actually specialize. And that specialization means that some of these tissues will serve a specific function. And that's what's next. That process is called gastrulation. This is where your notes ought to pick up for today. In gastrulation, we'll keep it real simple. All this means is that your cells start to move to different positions. They migrate. And as they migrate, they're going to start to make a basic body plan for you. So you have basically three layers to your body. You've got the outsides, the insides, and then the in-between. So the outside meaning your skin, your bones, excuse me, not bones, your skin and your nervous system. The inside would be your gut. I remember we technically call that the outside as far as exocrine functioning, but that's okay. And then in the between, that's all the other organs, muscles, and bones. And you start to make what's called a basic or rudimentary digestive cavity. That's gastrulation. And it kind of looks like this. So here's our blastula. And now these cells are going to start to move around and sort of modify that cavity like this until eventually you start to get a basic digestive cavity. You got your outside, your middle, and your inside: ecto, meso, endoderms. You don't need to know a lot of detail on this. Don't stress about that. Just know that during gastrulation, you establish three primary tissue layers. Now, and you eventually end up something like this. If you're curious, you can pause here and look at the different types of tissues that are produced by these three layers, but you don't need to know it. So then the tissues start to change in their shape, they'll move around, and they'll be programmed to die. And this is how you go from a generic embryo into something that looks a bit more human. And so this is all happening around gastrulation. And then the next primary stage after gastrulation is that your nerve tissue starts to develop. And this is the process called neurulation. This is the development of the nervous system. Let me back up a little bit. So when we're looking at these layers of tissue here, 1, 2, 3, if we just focus in on these three layers, if we were to like kind of cut a little section right there, that's what we're looking at here. These are those three layers: endo, meso, ectoderm. And so IB wants you to understand how neurulation happens, how your nervous system starts to form. And so that ectoderm starts to fold around, and as it folds, it connects, leaving behind this sort of tube-like structure. and you'll have the outside layer still intact. And it's that tube-like structure that starts to form the interior part of your nervous system. In actual photos, it looks like this. This is the same information, right? So you have this sort of the word invagination is used to describe an inward folding, right? So you start with a solid layer, then there's infolding. That infolding starts to curve around, eventually making a solid tube. Okay, now that whole neurulation process, if it does not work out, can lead to this condition called spina bifida. Perhaps you've heard of spina bifida. That's where that nerve tube winds up on the outside rather than inside your body. Maybe you know somebody who's had corrective surgery for their spina bifida. And basically, they have to like cut this open and then tuck all of that nerve tissue inside. It can be really dangerous, but it's more dangerous to leave that uncorrected. So basically, why this matters is that this neural tube, as it's called, forms the foundation of your central nervous system. So neurons are initially produced by differentiation of cells in this region called the neural tube. And then, I know this looks really weird, but just stay with me. So imagine that neural tube. You're starting out as an embryo with just this tube in it, and then the rest of the embryo starts to kind of stretch out into this, like, I don't know, manatee-looking thing. And so you got your little flippers here. Here's the head. And so if you imagine like that neural tube stretching out as the whole embryo grows, the front of that tube becomes the brain, the back of that tube becomes the spinal cord. And so it makes the foundation for all of the nervous tissue. So let me back up one more time, make sure we're on the same page here. So this process, this is called neurulation, where the neural tube starts to form, and it's right in here. And so on something like this, you should be able to label the endoderm, mesoderm, ectoderm, and you should label this final process right here called the neural tube. That is going to grow and form your brain and your spinal cord, the central nervous system. So that kind of extends out this way and extends out that way. And as this happens, the neurons actually start to move. They migrate as they grow to their final position here or here. And it sets up your spinal cord as being like the final location of some of those very important nerve cells. And then the axons start to grow out of those cells. And as the axons grow, they're going to form synapses, not one synapse, but multiple synapses. So you get more nerve cells, more axons, and more synapses really early in your development. And this process continues after you're born. So as you're growing as a small child, you're going to make more and more synapses throughout early childhood. As those synapses form, you're going to make some concrete memories and connections. And this is kind of how we imagine this. At birth, you have some axons, some synapses. So this is a typical nerve cell, right? And the longer part, that's the axon, and these are the dendrites or the axon terminals, and they're going to make connections. And as they make connections, it becomes more like a web. So between birth and 6 years old, you're building lots and lots and lots of neural connections. Every connection, consider that as a pathway, but could be a new memory, right? So as you're going from being born, you're blasted with all this stimulation, right? You have words and language, and you're learning your colors and your numbers and how to put food in your mouth without choking, and all this important stuff is happening. Oh, I'm not going to edit out the bell. Where's my editor? Who's my editor going to be? I don't know. We'll find somebody. Okay, so sorry about the bell. So as you get to 6 years old and you have all these connections, and some of those are phenomenal and you want to keep them, but not all of them, because not all of them are going to be useful. Sometimes you learn things that don't actually help you survive. And then, this is where your notes really ought to kick in, then you start the process of neural pruning. Neural pruning is the loss of unused neurons. And we can also consider neural pruning as the loss of unused connections or unused synapses. So as you move from 6 years old to 14 years old, you're going to cut some of those connections and kill some of those nerve cells. And that's by design. And the idea is that if you have all these connections that you don't use regularly, they're kind of in the way. So it makes the machinery of the brain more efficient if you prune out some of those unused nerve cells. We can think of neural pruning as this. You can go from a certain number of nerves, like this, to fewer nerves. So we cut out a whole nerve. Or you can prune just the synapses, just the connecting points. So look at this. So we have the number of nerves changing, or we can look at all these connecting points, all these synapses. We can cut out a bunch of those extra connecting points that we no longer need. So neural pruning, again, involves cutting out synapses or cutting out entire nerve cells or neurons, both of which will give you a more efficient pathway. So what this does is it allows you to access a memory faster. Although you might have fewer memories, you can access them faster because there's less static, there's less noise in these connecting points. Okay, so at this point, we're sort of halfway between the lesson here. So this is going to be the end of video number 1. And what I'd like to do is just pause here and say, don't forget, there's another video coming up with more detail. If you feel like you didn't get quite enough out of that 8.1 section, go back and read it. There's also going to be a course on ManageBack to study the structure of the brain. It's an assignment, written as an assignment, but you guys should know it's not going to be graded. It's basically a 3D model of the brain with some really important notes to take on it. Go check that out. And then also don't forget to move on to video 2. All right, this is the end. See you in video 2.